So today we're going to unpack a pretty stunning story. It's about a brilliant lawyer, someone at the absolute peak of her power, and the notorious criminal who became her confidant. Yeah, it's a relationship that would ultimately trigger a dramatic public downfall.
So let's start with our main character, Kathryn Ruemmler. Try to imagine being so successful that you become the top lawyer for the President of the United States. You're advising on literally everything, from domestic policy to national security.
Okay, now picture this. That same person becomes a trusted advisor, even a friend, to Jeffrey Epstein. Yep, one of the most infamous sex offenders of our time. How how does that even happen? That's the huge question we're going to dig into. And look, this isn't just some old story we're digging up. It all came crashing down with a major announcement, one that sent shockwaves through the worlds of finance and law. Okay, so here's what brought it all to a head. In early 2026, right after those Epstein files dropped, Kathryn Ruemmler resigned as the chief legal officer of Goldman Sachs. And get this, she openly admitted her association with Epstein had become a massive liability for the firm. What a stunning fall from grace for one of the most powerful lawyers in the entire country. Which, of course, brings us to the core mystery here. This is a question that's bigger than just one person, right? It touches on themes of power, pride, ambition. And to really understand why someone so incredibly successful would make such a catastrophic choice, we need a specific framework. And that framework? It's called the tall poppy syndrome. It's a concept that really helps explain why successful people sometimes get, well, cut down. And our guide for this whole explainer is Dr. Doug Garland. You gotta know, he is widely considered the authority on this topic. He literally wrote the book on it. It's called The Tall Poppy Syndrome, The Joy of Cutting Others Down. And he's also the founder of the popular blog tallpoppysyndrome.org. His work, especially what he's exploring in his upcoming 2026 book, Sin to Virtue, gives us the perfect tools to really dissect this case. So Dr. Garland suggests we start with this absolutely brilliant question from the one and only Aretha Franklin. Who's zooming who? In other words, when someone gets cut down, are they just an innocent victim, or did they do something to deserve it? And this leads to a really crucial distinction. See, there are two types of tall poppy syndrome. First, you've got private TPS. This is where someone is unfairly attacked, just out of pure spite for their success. But the second type, and this is the one that's super relevant here, is public TPS. This is where the cutting down is actually a justified public response to the tall poppy's own really egregious actions. So what's behind that? What fuels this desire to cut someone down? Well, according to Dr. Garland's research, it often boils down to one incredibly powerful and often misunderstood emotion. And that emotion? It's envy. Now, Dr. Garland is super clear about this. He defines it as a simple two-person dynamic. I want what you have. That feeling, especially when it turns malignant, that's the primary engine of the tall poppy syndrome. And I need to stress this because it is absolutely critical. Envy is not the same thing as jealousy. People mix these up all the time. Jealousy, that's a three-person dynamic. It's the fear of losing someone or something you already have to a third person. It's a total different emotion, and it is not what drives TPS. Okay, let's just break this down side by side to make it super clear. Envy, that's a two-person game. It's all about coveting, and it is the primary driver of TPS. Jealousy, that's a three-person drama. It's about fear of loss, and it's not a driver. Seriously, getting this distinction right is the key to unlocking the psychology at play in these massive public takedowns. Dr. Garland also connects all of this to the 7 deadly sins, which is a big topic in his upcoming book. So the tall poppy's downfall, that often kicks off with their own pride, right? A feeling that they're above the rules. But the force that actually cuts them down, that's fueled by the public's, and in this case, justified envy. It's like this toxic dance between two very, very old sins. All right, so with that whole framework in our minds, let's apply it directly to Kathryn Ruemmler's story and see what we find. So first question, was she a tall poppy? Oh, absolutely. Just look at this career. Editor-in-chief of her law journal, a star prosecutor who famously took down Enron executives, White House counsel for the president, and then general counsel at Goldman Sachs. She is the literal definition of a high achiever, a tall poppy. So why? Why would she associate with a known transgressor like Epstein? Well, the source material points to a few reasons people get drawn to rule breakers like him. There's the allure of status, maybe the excitement of being close to someone who seems above the rules, or even this really misguided belief that you can somehow help them or fix them.
And make no mistake, their relationship was not one-sided. She was giving him legal and media advice about his history of sex crimes. And in return, he gave her career advice, introduced her to some of the most powerful people in finance, and provided all sorts of perks, like luxury travel. It was mutually beneficial, and well, that was the trap.
And if you want a snapshot of just how toxic their dynamic was, nothing illustrates it more than this absolutely chilling line from one of Epstein's emails. The idea of trading women like they're some kind of asset, it's just deeply disturbing. And it really reveals the dehumanizing world she chose to step into.
So, after all of that, what does this whole sordid affair teach us about the systems of power that even allow these things to happen in the first place?
You know, we hear a lot about the government swamp in Washington, but Ruemmler's story, it pulls back the curtain on a different, maybe even more insidious network, a private elite swamp. This is a web that operates across finance, law, and media, a world where influence is the only thing that matters, and its members seem to truly believe they are untouchable. And if there is one single lesson to take away from all this, it's captured perfectly in this quote. Her life, her career, her reputation, they were all ultimately defined by the toxic counsel she sought, she listened to, and she followed. Which, of course, leaves us with one final, kind of unavoidable question. It's really easy to judge this from a distance, right? But the lesson here is deeply personal. It forces all of us to look at our own lives and just ask, who are our advisors? What counsel are we choosing to keep?